in the Bengals. Could they be done after this? But more importantly, is this finally the Eagles team that we've all been waiting to see?
Browns and Ravens. Famous Jameis comes through where Watson couldn't. There's light in Cleveland. Victory in Cleveland.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Tua made his return to the lineup. Could the Finns come through for their long-awaited return of their quarterback? Or did Kyler Murray and the Cards have some cards slipped up their sleeve?
Jets and Patriots. Don't say we didn't tell you, but it looks like Aaron and Devontae, that show is stalling out.
Sunday Scaries with Bucks and McGee. It's the last time I get to say this, so I'm going to make my money's worth. Week 8, the Ocho.
And what an Ocho it's been, Nutmeg. I'm telling you, took one on the chin this week, but there was a lot of fun, I must say, in the league. How you doing tonight?
Good, although obviously not as good, being that I also join you in not being able to celebrate a victory Monday.
It's okay because many other people are feeling this hurt, and it's not as embarrassing, so I'm good.
Yes, that's true. As bad as it is, it doesn't look nearly as bad as some of the other teams we'll get to. But let's start with your team. This you went in here with revenge on the mind, and the final score. Well, I guess the final score technically last time was a little close because there was an overtime as well. But at least the statistics didn't look quite as embarrassing, minus 500 yards. However, the result is the same. Atlanta sweeps the season series. Now, I know there might be a little bit of a caveat with all the wide receiver injuries, but what's the impression you take out of this one? Are you licking your wounds, or do you think see potential for to kind of get back around to them once the playoffs start?
Oh, I definitely do see potential. Honestly, I think Bucky Irving should be starting. Rashad White, I'm not willing to throw the towel in on him, but fumbling on the first drive doesn't really help. The defense really needs to shore up. I don't know what it is. It's this defense is either great or they just don't get it. I know the secondary's kind of beat up with Jamel Dean not being there. There's a lot of young guys playing, so there's going to be some growing pains. But I just I don't get it. But it is what it is. But Baker, Baker still played well, still leading the league in touchdowns. I can't fault him. The interceptions weren't the best, but this is basically almost a whole new offense with these young guys, but they fought tooth and nail, and that's all you can ask for.
You have to put a feather in your cap for Nostradamus prediction, although it's one you probably would prefer not to have been correct on, and that's you said Kyle Pitts would be the difference maker in the Falcons offense. So despite that having a little bit of a burn to it, how do you feel in that justification?
Well, no, I think he really opens up that offense. You've got, he's a great weapon. If you're not going to use him, then get rid of him. I think he really opens it up for the run game and everything else. Though, he was a little lackadaisical on his second touchdown. I don't understand how the league doesn't have cameras that go straight down the goal line, because I honestly believe that he fumbled before he got to the goal line, but nor here nor there. But the guy's talented. So, but I also think it's a situation where, like, the Falcons were good, were clicking at one point and then just kind of lost it. They're up and down. They beat us. I'm not going to sit here and take anything away from it, but they still don't scare me. I think they would be a one and done in the playoffs. I really do. If they play a quality team. So I think they have some things to shore up as well. Give Kirk credit, especially, that 13-yard scramble was basically the backbreaker, don't understand how that happens, but it is what it is. And, we move on, 4-4, not what I like, but it could be a whole lot worse.
Yeah, and that was next question because the season started off and it was I remember in what was it Monday night or something, whatever their first game was, and he said, I don't, I'm 100% if I'm in the pocket, but overall I'm not 100%. After seeing his legs kind of move a little bit in this one, I guess Kirk's back to being 100%. There's no excuses now.
There's not, but I'm pretty confident. Raheem Morris does not like the fact that Kurt wants to scramble out for 13 yards. I think that's like a last ditch effort. There's nothing else. Because one good hit, I think Kurt just crumbles. So I think he'll leave that to the running backs. But hey, give Kurt credit. At this point, 5-3 and lead the division. Got to give him credit.
Do you see a problem with, or I should say, any new problems that you didn't already know of with the defense? Because we knew they were weak over the middle, and Pitts exposed them. Pitts also had a good game in the previous game. So, any kind of new issues that you foresee that weren't already known?
No, the defense is what it is right now. They still need. I think they need faster linebackers besides Levante David. They need better coverage. Linebackers, because that's what you're going to face. That's what this league is. This league's a passing league. It's not, run three, three down backs are running and that's it. And once in a while you're going to get a pass. It's a passing league, so you need backers who can cover, and we don't have that. So that's going to be a problem. And the corners are just going to have to grow. It's a growing pain situation. It is what it is. So Jamel gets back. He gets healthy, it's going to help out a bit. But right now you're using these young guys, these rookies, and like I said, it's growing pains. So we'll see what happens. Offense is putting points up and still running the ball. So it's kind of funny that, everyone thought the offense was going to be the issue and the defense was what we were going to hang our hat on. And now it's, okay, our defense is leaky. And Baker's, putting up 30 points with ease.
Well, speaking of the offense and it being a passing lead, are you concerned, or were you okay with what you saw from the receivers in light of all the injuries lately?
I thought it was good. Baker threw for 330 yards. That's solid. Cade Otton, showed up. I always thought he was a quality, tight end. But when you've got, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, your touches are going to be, few and far between. McMillan, I think, is a great rookie. They had some miscommunication, but I think they'll tighten that up. Shepard was good, so I think offensively they're good. I think White is a great receiving back. I think that's where his strength is, and I think that's where you're really going to see him in this offense really thrive until Evans gets back. I think Bucky is going to be the guy who runs the ball, and White is going to be a change of pace and receiving back. I think that's how this offense is going to work.
Turning attention to my team, I'm also licking my wounds here. And
you know what, man? When I get tired, I need to take a break.
No.
Take a break.
No. Oh god, yeah. I mean, the silver lining is that I didn't expect to be fighting for first 8 weeks in, but AR is such a mess, and that quote that he said in the presser, where he's like, the reason he pulled himself out of the game, and the reason he says, like, Coach, I'm tired. Like, excuse me? Like, I understand you're made of glass, and that's frustrating enough. If you're hurt, you're hurt. Do not say, I'm tired, I need to come out and take a break.
Yeah. So quick question, do you regret the pick now? Are you starting to say, you're saying this wasn't the pick?
This definitely wasn't the pick. Okay. I want to get the Raiders brass on the phone and be like, can we have Uncle Rico back for like a fifth rounder or something?
You got Flacco, man. Cut it out.
I mean, Flacco's fine, but I still don't. I I still don't. I
Wow.
still would
You
like
would
to get
take
another
Uncle
year. I'd like to
Rico.
get another year after that.
You would take back Uncle Rico. That's impressive, man. Very impressive. But I didn't mean to cut you off. Continue,
That's all
sir.
right. No. As far as AR cut himself off, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if I'm Steichen, I don't know how you can save face to the fans, to the media. So I'm sure locally, if not nationally, maybe nationally they don't pay attention to it, but certainly local media and the
Oh,
fans. I don't know how he saves face if he doesn't say, you know what, we're just gonna go with Joe for a little while,
they're not
because
going to.
AR wasn't playing well without that little, mental mistake. Well, I don't know if it's mental mistake. He doesn't have much going on
Sometimes
up
it's,
there.
it's sometimes honest to a fault. Sometimes you just got to shut up and just not say anything,
Right.
But this game, I just, and you talked about it. You didn't want to be the team that the Texans kind of started to right the ship with, and I think you
Right.
kind of saw glimpses of that. Run game again, solid. Joe Mixon has been the only constant, I think, since Nico's been hurt. Diggs is hurt now. I think they said, I don't know I think it was his knee. I'm not sure, but I know her Diggs is hurt. So now it's going to be the Mixon and whoever else show now over there. But I don't know.
Would pick us. They would pick us for Mixon to get going again against.
Well, Taylor was solid. Taylor put up over 100 yards, so it wasn't.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting him to play.
He probably said, "Man, we got this kid at quarterback. I gotta play." He probably shot up the knee or whatever he needed to and said, "All right, let's just get this going."
Well, that's the extra rub too. The fact that like, oh wait, Taylor's back, and I'm thinking now, like if you're thinking, like a high hindsight this 2020 situation, maybe you're thinking like, well, maybe we should have just played Flacco, because if we had a steadier hand in there with Taylor back and Taylor playing well, maybe we do pull this off.
It's true, because you guys were pretty much neck and neck through three and a half quarters. You guys were in it. It's just, it's going to be a situation of, does the head coach have the stones to say, all right, you know what, you're going to sit for a week. You're going to sit. Yeah. I don't know if it happens.
I don't know if he does either.
So I think AR really needs just to kind of sit down and, realize, what you're doing, the fact that you're an NFL quarterback, you should be wanting to play every down regardless. You should be wanting to play two ways and not complain about being tired.
Yeah. And I would be okay with leaving him in there to struggle and work out the kinks if the defense wasn't playing as well as it was. If Taylor wasn't in his prime on a long-term contract, I would be okay with leaving. Like if we were just a dumpster fire team, I would be okay with leaving him in there and letting him work it out. But if the rest of some of the parts is going to play competitively, then we need a veteran in there. Period. Full stop. Like there's no excuse to have somebody in there because they can't tie their shoelaces.
No, true. If you have a shot at the playoffs, then your best option should be in. And right now, I think Flacco is your best option, but it is what it is. You know how this works.
Well, I'll hold out hope that another injury down to this team, and maybe they'll just be like Niners slightly east, and everyone will get hurt, and maybe we'll like backdoor our way into the division because they'll just fall apart or something.
Weirder things have happened.
Although I can't rest my laurels on them falling apart next week, because despite the short week, they are playing the Jets, and we'll get to that a little bit later.
Well, that's automatic. Enjoy that win.
So, the talk of the town after this Week 8 Sunday is going to be the finish to this Washington game. Now, they were up. Now, the way this game went, I guess we kind of can't be too surprised because Washington was playing for field goals, which is always dangerous. you're playing for 3 and not 7, and eventually, if the opponent ever gets going, those threes are not going to hold up very long.
Right.
But like at some point, like, okay, we can't be too surprised because Chicago's got a good defense. Jayden's been great, but he is still a rookie. And then from Chicago's perspective, yeah, Washington's defense is awful, but Chicago's offensive line can't block you and I. So I guess we can't be too surprised that this was a field goal battle, and Jayden Daniels has to face a good defense, and Caleb can't has got to run for his life. But Caleb did work back into this, got a lead, got the 2-point conversion. We're thinking, okay, here are the Bears. All right, Bears are there, and sure enough, a little gift from on high comes down, and Jayden uncorks one to end the game. And that nice little tip drill for Washington. But man, that kid's got an arm.
Yeah. For literally 3.5 quarters, Jayden Daniels was the better quarterback. I honestly believe. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Washington's defense all of a sudden erupted. They played their tails off. I've got to give them credit. They really did. But at the end of the day, yeah, sometimes you need a little luck. That's how it is. If you get a chance to heave 160 plus yards and the perfect tip drill, the perfect scenario happens, then you take that win. You could tell that the ribs were bothering Daniels, after a while.
Yeah.
Chicago, I don't know. It's like the run game was on point. The run game really came alive the second half. And then it was just, there were a couple series, Caleb looked good, but then just kind of faded out. But at the end of the day, you got to win ugly. And if you can win ugly, then, you're becoming more battle tested, and you got to give Washington credit. They pulled it out. A win's a win. It doesn't have to be pretty. Like I say, you just got to be 1 point better.
That was your catchphrase last year or the year before.
Yep, and it rings true every year. One point better. And I just think, like I said, Caleb had flashes. It was just, like Washington's defense isn't that great. I just don't know how Chicago stalled out, because they were coming off games where the offense was clicking. Like you would have thought this was going to be a decent battle where there would have been some points put up.
This one would be a blow it open.
Yeah, exactly. Even though Daniels was hurt, I'm like, all right. And once they said he was going to play, I'm like, all right, it's probably going to be a game in the mid-20s. Okay, then we'll see what happens. But it just turned out to one of these just grind them out games, and per team with the last possession wins.
Yeah. We'll get into the Eagles in a second, but based on this Washington team, should they be the favorite for this division? I mean, do they really have to worry about Philly? Or is their defense going to be just good enough or not bad enough that, Jayden will be enough to get them to the division crown?
I don't know. That's tough because the Eagles have the experience. Like, this defense has experience, playing, postseason and all of that. It's Washington's coming in, and it's almost like they're the new kids on the block. And it's, after years of just being terrible, now all of a sudden they're on this ride. And now, it's easy to say, oh, they're better than the Eagles, and they're just gonna just own this division. The Eagles have the experience and in theory, know how to win these kinds of games, and have been division winners. So I'm not 100% ready to say, okay, they're the favorites, but right now I think they're neck and neck.
And on that final play, I mean, how much do you cringe at all when you see a literal prayer of a pass thrown up, and the defense, for all intents and purposes, did a good job, but they let someone sit out in the back in the event that a tip drill? I mean, do you like, why are you tipping it up in the air? I understand, like, it's way up here. You may not have the vertical to get your hand above it to knock it down, but like, do you cringe at all when you see that play and the ball tipped in the air.
Oh, you anybody would. Like when you watched the play happen, there's supposed to be a cornerback behind there with that receiver. You just don't let a receiver, run all, willy-nilly behind there by himself. There was no one around Noah Brown. He was just standing there like, all right, this is cool. This is cool. Yeah. And there's supposed to be a cornerback there with him. So you watch it in live time and you see the ball tipped. Now, at first, I'm thinking the way the ball was going to go, I thought it was either going to go to the left or the right. So I'm like, all right, I think it's okay.
Been okay.
Yeah. It would have been fine. But then you see it go directly back. And then when you look, all there is Noah Brown. So now I'm sitting here going, is he going to catch it or is he going to freeze up? Because you have those ones where the guy's there all by himself and he just bobbles it and doesn't catch it.
Yeah.
So you see him secure it and you're like, oh, here we go. And there it is. So, yeah, I think you cringe, but there's always a part of you that's like, oh, man, this is one of those plays where it's like, wow, I saw that. So it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was cool. Like Jayden Daniels got an arm, man, but it was just, he's gonna be really good, and he's straight to the point. He's just like, hey, this is how it is. I play to win, and that's it. There's no, you can't tell he's a rookie. That's the vibe I get from him. He seems older beyond his years, but at the end of the day, Chicago didn't play it well, and here's what happens. Now you're going to have to answer for that tomorrow.
As if I didn't need any other reason for buyer's remorse over AR. Anyway. Speaking of the aforementioned Philadelphia, so Washington is still in first place by virtue of not having their bye yet, but Philly also moves to 5-2, and we talked about them being at 4-2, a deceiving 4-2. Now they're 5-2, and damn it, if they didn't look like the Philadelphia team that we think they should, and I don't necessarily know whether that means Philly's back or that just means, listen, they played Cincinnati, their defense is Swiss cheese, and the offense is a lot of mental lapses here. So, I mean, I guess that's the first question. Was this the real Philly, or is it just by virtue of Cincinnati being so terrible?
I think I think this is the real Philly. I think what it is you're gonna get your yards from Jaylen, but he's gonna, I guess now he's looking to run. I don't know, like multiple rushing touchdowns. Like this is a little out of the ordinary with the weapons that you have at receiver. He threw one touchdown, and I think the other scores were all rushing.
By the way, an amazing over-the-shoulder catch by Devontae. Something else we may have spoken into the ether, saying, why don't you throw to him instead of always focusing on AJ? And sure enough, his touchdown goes to Devontae Smith.
Right? And then after the touchdown, like you saw the look on his face, like, yeah, don't forget I'm here. He had this look like, yeah, now I can do this every week. Like, what's going on? Like, you can just tell. So, yeah, I think this is just what the Eagles are, and there's talent on the team. It's not like they're bums. It's just, do they like Sirianni? Do they want to play there? Do the guys want to be there? Like, it just has this vibe of there's all this talent and just nobody likes the coach or doesn't want to be there anymore. So, no, everyone was starting to kind of hype up the Bengals, and unfortunately, the Bengals are who they are. They're a decent offensive team. Their defense is horrible, and this is how they're going to be the whole year. They're not going to go on this stretch where they're going to put up 30 points a game and only give up 12 or 13. Like, their defense isn't good. So this is what it is.
And now that they sit at 3-5, are they officially done? Can we put a fork in them? Throw them like a shrimp on the bobby, or is this just typical Bengals slow start, and maybe the start's a little slower than normal?
Well, like the first 4 weeks or so is a slow start. This is week 8, and this is where you're sitting. The next 3 weeks are vital for them. I think they got to win 2 out of the next 3. I really do. They've got to get to 500 quick. I don't want to say they're done, but they're slowly they are approaching life support.
I'll search up their schedule really quick, but I mean, they're what's kind of the weakest point? Is it just the Swiss Cheese defense? Is it the fact that the running game has been a severe problem? And even like when Chase Brown has been on his game, they go away from him.
Well, that was the first thing. They never should have should never have gotten rid of Joe Mixon. Should have kept him. And I've said that. Joe Mixon should still be a Bengal. Yeah, so I don't understand, they start to get the ground game going, and then like you said, they go away from it. It's like they're like, we have to get our receivers the ball. That's who we are. We have to throw the ball. But they've got to come up with some kind of balance. And right now they don't have it, and it just doesn't work. But when your defense can't stop a nosebleed, it's almost, it doesn't matter if you put up 30 points, you're going to give up 35 points. So you got to figure out what your run game is going to be, and you got to figure out this defense.
And Chase had that touchdown right off the rip, but then Burrow kind of didn't look at him anymore for the rest of it. So if your run game is going to be a mess, and you're not going to look at your top 3 receiver in the league, there's some. Is it Burrow? Is it the coordinator? I don't know.
Yeah, like it just seems like it's all falling apart. It was only a couple of years ago everyone was like, this is the team, this is the team that's going to run the AFC. It's going to be him and Mahomes. They were going to be the next, Brady and Manning for, the next 10 to 15 years. And right now, Cincinnati's an afterthought. No one's scared of Cincinnati.
I apologize. I said Burrow. I should have said Cody, the Cincinnati Nightmare.
He's growing it out now. It's growing out now. If you look,
The highlights are starting to fade a little bit.
Starting to fade.
Those before we move on, real quick, those next 4 games: home against the Raiders, on the road in Baltimore, on the road with out on the West Coast against the Chargers, and then home to Pittsburgh. I mean, other than the Raiders, I
could see him going 1-3. I could see him going 1-3. Now I'm sure on our schedule shows I went totally different that way because we thought they were going to be good. But right now, as that team is constituted, if you told me they go 1-3, I'd believe you.
But you know what? The one after that is a Monday nighter in Dallas, and we know the Cowboys don't play well at home. So for all we know, Cincinnati won that one.
Ooh, there you go. It's good. That's the game that's going to lead the Bengals back to the promised land.
Go rip off an undefeated December.
There you go. Got to start somewhere.
Let's talk some comebacks, as we had a couple of them on this Week 8 Sunday. The first one is the Browns. Now this one, I mean, it's the old Browns versus the new Browns, right? And
gotta give Jameis Winston. Gotta give him his applause. Give him his applause.
Lamar actually played well, and shocker, I don't remember hearing much of Derrick Henry at this one. So maybe
yet again, it was like who Derrick who? It was like, oh, here we go again. Oh, we have Derrick Henry. Oh, okay, here we go. Like, I don't know, man. It was, you know what? Cincinnati came to play. I mean, Cleveland came to play, man. It was like, I don't know what Jameis said in, warm-ups or whatever, but he got them together, and they could have ended it with the interception. If Hamilton doesn't drop that pick, the game is over. He drops that pick, and then Jameis throws that bomb, and game's over. So you got to give Jameis credit, man. He's like, I think this year's the first year they went over like 300 yards, or, from their quarterback, and they actually had quarterback play first time this year.
Yeah.
So I think right now they're probably kind of saying maybe we should have went to Jameis a little sooner.
And to that point, I dial it back to one of your many Deshaun Watson rants this year, and he said, just put Jameis in there. How bad can he be? He can't be that much worse. Well, first of all, here's a win. Secondly, here's a good performance. And thirdly, like the team overall looked good. Like the defense didn't look exposed. So not only is he obviously just a better, one more productive player, at least right now in their careers, but maybe he's also more of an inspiring leader. Maybe the team just likes him better because everyone else seems to play better.
You know what? And that very well could be true. It could be a situation where there's some guys on that team that are like, yeah, man, this guy's not good, and why did we pay him all that money? He's not worth it. He's not a rah-rah guy. Let's be honest. I think once he got the contract, he phoned it in. Honestly, I think he's just like, whatever, I'm getting my money. It is what it is. So now you've got a guy who, at this point, after Tampa, has kind of just floated around, and now maybe he's found his Baker story, and now he may be the guy now in Cleveland going forward.
Yeah, he got a raw deal in New Orleans, but this is maybe the make good.
Yeah, very well could be. Or if what happens, he ends up finishing the season, because he's gonna probably end up finishing the season. He finishes well enough. There could be a team that needs a quarterback that may offer him something. Jets, Giants,
Carolina, Indy. At this point,
famous Jameis in Indy, baby. I'll get that jersey. I'll rock that.
Yeah, I'll take him. Over to Baltimore. Is this resurfacing old wounds, and we start to question the Ravens again, or was this just kind of like a hiccup? Divisional foe. They hate each other.
It's
injection of life from the opposing quarterback.
It's a divisional game. It's you can't. We've talked about this. Divisional games, you kind of hold to a different candle. They probably were up for the game, and they came out and played. Now Baltimore's going to have to clean some things up, and next week come out and play really well, and everyone's going to forget this game. And everyone's going to forget except for Cleveland. And Clevelanders, they're going to be like, "Yep, we beat them. We're good." And that's going to be could be their turnaround for their season. But if I'm Baltimore, you got beat, you move on, but you got to come back next week and be ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, saving grace would be the fact that Cincinnati lost, and you really just got to worry about Pittsburgh right now. And unfortunately for the Ravens, Pittsburgh plays the Giants on Monday, so.
Yeah, I'll be watching.
Do not worry, audience. We will not discuss that game. I don't think there's much of a need to.
I'll be watching the food truck rally or something on the Food Network. Yeah, I'm good. No, I'm good. No.
The other comeback on this Sunday was the Cardinals. Now the Dolphins. I don't know. He was eligible to return, but I was a little surprised that they kind of rushed him back. They came out and they played well. I was like, all right, okay, maybe the book's not written in the AFC for the Bills quite yet. But sure enough, they let Arizona hang around. The Cardinals came back, come back, win, and the Dolphins go back to the doldrums. And right now, it looks like the Bills might be clinching this division not too long after Election Day, let alone Thanksgiving.
Right now, yeah. Right now, that's what it's looking like. Miami could turn it around, but right now, I think Buffalo has to be the favorite to win the division. Like you said, got to give credit to Tua. Comes back, and they kind of look like the Dolphins that we thought they are. His health is, of course, the number one thing. So in watching that game, it's kind of like you're like cringing every time you see somebody near him, because you don't, because the next hit could be the hit that basically ends his career, which you don't want. But overall, they played solid, but Arizona was able to eke it out. Kyler Murray, you give him credit.
What's the deal with Arizona? Because they are this Jekyll and Hyde team. Like they 1 week they'll have a game like this, or a game like, was it against the Niners where they blew the doors off them, or the Rams, whoever it was, and then they have a game where they just come out, they get shut out. Like they are just a completely different team on a week to week basis.
I don't know. Like, I really don't know. Like, there's talent on that team. Like, they're not devoid of talent. Like, there's some positions they can definitely improve, but they're a decent team. But like you said, it just seems like the teams that they should beat, which aren't many, but there are teams they can't get out of their own way. But then when a big team comes in, an elite team, they play well and hold their own. So I don't. They are a somewhat young team, so I guess they're still trying to find themselves. Kyler's been around for a while. He needs to be a leader. He needs to be the guy, and go from there. You got Harrison there, so wide receiver, is a good solid position for them, but I don't know. They just got to figure it out.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit in the pregame show with the Rams. They got off to a rough start with all the injuries, and this division has been pretty pedestrian to say the least. So the Rams somehow now are still back in it. Hell, at this point, the Cardinals are kind of still in it. They're a different team week to week, but I mean they're at this point they're just as much in it as anyone else in that division.
Yeah, if they can put on a 3-4 game streak, kind of for every 2 or 3 they win, lose one, kind of beef things up. They very well could, I don't know, division, I don't know, but they definitely could be wild card. So the NFC West is interesting. Like, there's no clear cut. Like, anyone will say, because everyone talks about the Niners like, oh, okay, it's just a matter of time. They're going to turn it around.
Right.
It's going to happen. Well, we're in week 8 and they haven't really turned it around. So at this point, I think you could pull a team out of a hat and say they're going to be the division winners, and you possibly could be correct.
Yeah, and they're hopefully they're getting CMC back for the next one. But at least to this point, you're right. It's blindfold yourself and pull a name out of a hat.
Yeah, exactly.
Put $10 on at this point the futures bets to win that division on all 4 teams, and one of them will probably get you decent odds to cover the hedge.
Put $10 in Arizona, man. There you go.
Yeah, they probably have the best odds, and they got good a shot as anyone else.
There you go. Cash in, and there you go. Go somewhere nice on vacation, man. There you go.
Now, one team that had a little bit of a weird performance here, and they survived. They won, so you know what? We're not going to take anything away from the Packers, but the Packers should have done a lot better than this. Jordan Love did not look good.
No, the groin injury didn't help either. Malik, comes in and finishes things up. They're another team, but you know what? They're still relatively young. Like I've said when we've talked about them, this is really Jordan's. It's like his second year. Like last year was like his first year, so this is like he's really, been the guy. They've got the young receivers, so they've got talent. They can score points. They've got to grow. They've got to grow in those, and learn to win. And I think once they learn to win consistently, they're going to be really good. So, there's talent there. They're going to be okay.
Lawrence actually had a pretty decent game in this one. So is this finally starting to now? It's probably too little, too late, but maybe some hope that Peterson might not get fired.
Wow, would you put money on that?
No.
No, they're not going to fire him in season. No, they're going to wait till the end of the season and then they're canning him. Like, no, he's not. No. Unless they literally lose like the next 4 in a row, he's not getting fired till the end of the season. But he's gone. There's no way they're keeping him. No way.
Now, as far as the defense is concerned, is there any concerns there? Because that's supposed to be the strength of the Packers, and the Jags did have a good game in this one. So, any concern with the defense?
Their defense is decent. I don't think it's an elite defense. I think it's it's middle of the road. But when you've got an offense that puts the points up that they do, you're kind of like, okay, we'll take that. That's the trade-off. You guys, you give up, maybe 20, 21 points a game, but, we're scoring, 29, 30 a game. We're good. So just show up when we need you and we'll be okay. So
Sounds like Kansas City of a couple years ago.
yeah, exactly. That's what I think it is for the most part. I think their defense is decent. They'll be okay. They just have got to be a little more consistent offensively.
I don't want to waste any more time, so we are going to get right into the topic that everyone wants to hear us talk about, and that is the New York Football Jets now cementing themselves in a three-way tie for last place, which I guess is also technically a three-way tie for second, but that doesn't exactly feel like second place. Now, this one, I I mean, maybe you could justify the loss if Drake May played it out. Okay, he's a rookie that nobody has tape on, but he got hurt, and Brissett was back in. So as far as I'm concerned, there should be no way to justify this loss. This is just bad.
No, if May had even played the whole game, your defense is so good. The Jets' defense is elite, which I thought they were at the beginning of the year. I thought they were good. They're solid. It's not like the Patriots put up 50 points on them. It's just that the Jets' offense sucks. Like, let's be realistic. It's not their defense that's bad. It's their offense. That's what the problem is here. So their defense did what they were supposed to do. It's just that Aaron Rodgers and his new toy couldn't do anything. The guy who was going to solve all the problems. Because once you signed Devontae Adams and brought over his Taco Bell endorsement, it was all going to be good. Chalupa's entitled for everybody. Chalupas and titles for everybody. The AFC East title was coming in on a chalupa truck. No problem. So Aaron Rodgers looks horrible. And for all those people who were like, oh, Aaron Rodgers is still elite. He's still blah, 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 blah. Aaron Rodgers has fallen off the cliff. He is an absolute bum. He's a bum. There's no one out there who can tell me that he's good. No one. They're bad. They are a bad offensive team.
And they don't even try to use Breece Hall. Like, you'd think they'd at least try to take some pressure off Rodgers, so maybe he doesn't have to do so much, so he's not exposed. But they don't even try to not expose him.
No, they're like, no, we have Aaron Rodgers, so Aaron Rodgers is going to win it for us, so we don't care. Go ahead, Aaron, win it for us. No, it's absolutely ridiculous. The play calling is horrible. You're not using the talent that you have. You brought over bits of junk from the Packers past, and look what it's done for you. Look at you. You got beat by Jacoby Brissett and the New England Patriots.
By the way, who called the Adams thing? I said this is not going.
Oh, you did. You did.
Not going to fix the problems.
No, but that's what happens when you let your quarterback run the asylum, and that's what they did last year. They let Aaron decide who he wanted and all this and all that, and he basically did what he wanted to do. Robert Saleh basically was just a puppet at that point, didn't really have control of the team. And so what do? You fire him, and look, you've done nothing. You've done nothing.
Although I at least thought that, knowing that it wouldn't fix anything, I at least thought that he'd get the ball. Like, it would at least be a fun disaster to watch. But he's not even, he can't even get the target in there. So you brought him in, you're paying his salary, you gave him a pick, you made Rodgers happy, and Rodgers can't get the ball to him. So it's not even fun to watch. It's not even a fun train crash.
No, like, you're sitting there going, okay, they're going to score some points, but something's going to happen. He's going to explode, but at least they're putting on some points. No, you're just sitting there going, wow, you guys just suck. You guys just can't do anything. And you look at that defense and you're like, wow, this is a waste. This is an absolute waste.
What looks worse right now is, does this look bad, losing to the Patriots, losing to Jacoby Brissett, having to come in midway through a game, or would it be worse to lose to the Panthers?
Losing to New England. New England, you have to honestly say New England is slightly worse than Carolina, because Carolina at their best has the red rifle, and Andy Dalton put points up. Like, they were a functioning offense. Yeah. Andy Dalton, Like they would lose, but they were respectable. Like you're like, all right, they put in the effort, they were okay. The Patriots are a hot mess. Everybody knows it. Like they can't score more than 10 points on a good day. Like their offensive pieces are a mess. Their defense is solid, but like as with anything else, after so long, your defense of being out on the field is going to fall apart. So you lost to the Patriots. That's sad. Straight up sad.
Congratulations, New York. You joined the Bungles and Cody Rhodes, the Cincinnati Nightmare, as the only teams to lose to New England. Thus far, anyway. Thus far.
Thus far, this might be a streak. This is what happens. Maybe New England goes on a run and the Jets finish last.
And we talked about this off air a little. We had a joke about it off air because next week the Panthers play New Orleans, who have somehow come back to only being a game better than Carolina. And New England play Tennessee, the only other one-win team in the league. So you could have a situation where where a four-way tie will exist for the number one pick instead of just Carolina and Tennessee ahead of everything.
See that? It's getting exciting, man. See that? Just because you win doesn't make it all fun. Now we're gonna see, the Timu Patrick Mahomes lead the Saints for the number one pick. It's very exciting. It's very exciting.
What now at this point? It's like what the glimmers. What bigger glimmers are in your smile right now when the Saints are this bad, the Patriots are this bad, the Jets are an embarrassment. Like, what's the biggest joy of seeing another team lose out of all this for you?
Let's see. We'll take them team by team. New England, that's what you get. That's what you get for letting, for not, keeping, the greatest to ever do it and just chucking them to the side. That's what you get. You've reaped what you've sown, and here it is. Jets, that's just what you get. You guys think, you guys think you're good, but you're not. Like, it's ridiculous. This is what you get, especially for those Rex Ryan years. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. This is what you get.
It's a symphony.
It is. It's a symphony. And Saints, I would love to be in the locker room sitting next to Cam Jordan. I would love to. Because that man, for some weird delusional reason, thinks that the Saints are good and that Drew Brees is the greatest quarterback in NFL history. For some weird delusional reason. I don't know. Not, Drew's the top 10. I'm not going to take anything away from Drew Brees, but he's not the greatest of all time. But, Cam Jordan has these weird issues, and Saints fans swear for some reason they're going to the Super Bowl every year. They can barely pay their players. They're always freaking $80 billion in the freaking red, and when it comes to salary, can't do anything. But you guys are always going to be in the Super Bowl, all right? Well, here it is, folks. Enjoy. This was actually, minus the loss I took, this was a great week. It's a great week in the NFL. I enjoyed this.
Now, the other team that takes up a lot of space in our fun times is the Dallas Cowboys. And the Niners took a little while to get going in this one. But sure enough, they got rolling, and Dallas' defense looks like the Dallas defense that we know it to be. So do we kind of like lay off Brock Purdy for a week?
No, you beat Dallas. Like I can't sit there and be like, wow, you stepped up and you beat a quality opponent. You beat a team that can't run the ball, who is the worst rushing team in the league. It's fact.
You might as well thank them for letting you off the hook on that one.
Yeah, man, we're a top 10 team. I don't know what you're talking about. We're good. We're good. We got off of that snide. We're good. You had to bring back Zeke Elliott, and after he got banished from New England, and that was your big pickup because you didn't have any money for Derrick Henry. Didn't want to try.
And to that point, they pick off Dalvin Cook recently from the scrap heap, and now he's off the practice squad.
Yeah, and I think he's playing tonight, and wow, he's going to be a difference maker. Really, and it's just. And now, mind you, I know they've got some injuries on defense. I get that. Fine. Everyone's got injuries. But this offense is absolutely putrid. Like, it just makes no sense how bad they are. But with all the money you spent there, you should be better than what you are. And so Dallas is just no one cares. No one's scared of Dallas. Who cares?
I actually saw them try to get CD involved very early on, and since then they just went away from him.
It's the normal. It's like, okay, we'll throw you a few just to get you going, so you feel happy about yourself, and then we'll just I don't know. We'll figure it out. We draw plays in the sand because we're gonna give Zeke the ball like 10 times, and because he's really gonna do something.
We'll call your number a few times just so you don't Devontae Adams us.
Yeah, exactly. They're bad, man. There's nothing to it. So no, San Fran. Okay, you beat a bad team. Hooray for you. Let's just time to move on, man. I wouldn't brag about this at all.
No, I think it's actually the fewest times to date we've ever heard "We Dem Boys" in the middle of the season.
Like for real, like they're bad. It's I don't get it. I just don't understand it. And at this point, it is what it is. Dallas is they've got to figure this out. They do. I don't know if they're gonna figure it out this year, but for all that money you spent, and then you still got to pay. You still got to pay Parsons once he comes back next year. So they're just bad. They're bad. Like I don't have any words. They're bad.
Yeah, I mean we talk about like Philadelphia. How much of a threat will they be with Washington? Neither one of them have to worry about Dallas.
I wouldn't. I'd be more worried about Giants at this point.
I was gonna say. At least the Giants can play defense.
Danny Dimes might sneak in there and put up 21 points, and if you have an off night, that might be enough to beat you. Like it's the truth. Like it's so horrible. Like you look at this team, and it's like there's talent on this offense, and it's like they just can't get it right. But you had to dig up Dalvin Cook. You had to dig up Dalvin Cook for an offense, even though you could have gotten Derrick Henry. You could have paid him. You could have.
Now, to your point, you beat Dallas, woohoo, whoop-de-doo. But based on what we've seen, Debo was pretty involved in this one. Kittle caught a touchdown. Mason wasn't too involved, but CMC's coming back soon. So was there enough bright spots to think, like, okay, despite this being against Dallas, was there enough to say, like, okay, San Francisco, maybe they're ready, especially as we've talked, the NFC West is kind of wide open.
I don't think until you see the Niners put together like full complement and they put together a game and you're like, okay, those are the Niners we know. Until that happens, I think you're hesitant. You really are. Everyone's got to come back from injury and they've got to go on one of those runs where you're like, okay, these are the Niners that we know for the last couple of years. Because right now, like we said earlier, anyone in the NFC West pick their name out of a hat, they could win the division.
Do you see any issue as far as is it just like how many games after CMC's back, how many games do you kind of like give them a leash on before you start ringing the alarms again?
I think you got to go 2 or 3 games.
That could be a lot when you're just at 500, but then again, 500 is the division, so it might not be. It might not be that bad.
No, it might not, but I think you've got to get at least 2 or 3 games in with them so you can kind of see. Because I think the offense just changed a little bit because you're not, Ayuk isn't going to be here, for the rest of the year, with his injury. So it's, it's going to be the CMC, Debo, Kittle show. I think Kittle's going to start to kind of make a resurgence in the offense. I think he's kind of been pushed to the side recently in the last year or so. So I think you'll see a lot more of him. But until they get everyone who they can healthy and playing, I think you're just kind of in a wait and see mode.
Those next few games are not exactly the easiest stretch. They go down to visit your Bucks next weekend on. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not on Monday night. And then they host the Seahawks. They go up to Lambeau. Then after that they go to Buffalo, another Sunday nighter, and then they come back home to host the Bears. So it's not the easiest stretch to welcome CMC back to the lineup.
No, they've got to probably play. They've definitely got to play at least 500 ball for sure. You know, the Hawks are kind of, flailing right now, so they may be going the other way. So right now, I think the Niners are probably a little more worried about the Rams. They're getting healthy again, so they could come down to Rams and Niners.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think it's that far fetched to give the edge to the Rams. If things don't stretch out or CMC has a setback coming off the injury and he's not himself, I don't think it's that far fetched to give the edge to LA.
No, they would be the healthier of the two when it comes to offense. So I think you'd kind of have to, and they've shown that they can put points up.
Well, Bucks McGee, we put points up, and despite a couple losses, we still enjoyed some things this weekend. That being said, so sir, take us off air on Creamsicle Day.
Yes, it is Creamsicle Day. If you guys don't have any creamsicle in your house, that's wrong and disrespectful. Go get yourself some creamsicle. It's National Tight End Day, so hopefully, the tight end on your team scored. If not, he might not be that good. But most importantly, Jets fans, can't say I didn't tell you.